In this video, I'm going to do the same steps that we did in the importing and formatting in R video. So for details, refer to that video and that script. Here I have provided you with the workflow to do the same thing in KNIME, but now I'm going to walk you through some of those steps so you can get an idea of how this works in a different software. So here we have the node repository. We're going to be looking up nodes here to add to our workflow. And we have 3 different readers here. So these will be just like we used different readers in the other software. So in R, we have a CSV reader, an Excel reader, and a file reader. So let me show you how those get started by showing you the steps, but then these are the correct ones. So we would look down here to read something into the data. You can first just open different parts of these types of nodes. So nodes are like the functions that we're going to be using. So that in R we call it a function or a package. Here we call it a node. So here we can read things in, write them. We can manipulate things over here. So the read ones are the ones we're going to be interested in, and it has a bunch of different readers. So here I have a CSV reader. I just drag it over and put it on my workflow, and I can use that and work with it to read in one of the data frames or data sets. So notice it has the warning sign here. It says it's not set up correctly. Also the red means it's not working. So what we can do is right click. So you right click and configure gets it set up. And a box pops up for you to work and figure out how to set everything up. So here we can browse and find the files. So it's through a lot of steps, sorry. Oh, that's the other one. Okay, so we've got these files we can read in. I'm using the CSV one, which is this, I think it's this invoice table. Yes, .csv, so I'm going to open that. It pops up down here saying, or showing you a preview of what that will look like. It says the date is a string, invoice is an integer, so this is the same thing as we would have used to import the data in R. Here it shows you a comma delimiter, and I'll show you in another one we can change that to read in something else. So we click OK. Now yellow means it's set up so that it can be used, but it's yellow, it hasn't been run yet. So to execute it, right click on execute, and now we have run this piece of the node. So we can view that by going up here to this magnifying glass, and it shows us the data that we read in. Has the same properties as the other, the data we looked at in R. So we do this, then if we want to find another one, so we go through each of these problems, so we read in this one, read in this one. It's the same thing. Let me just show you how those are slightly different. Excel reader, notice it looks basically the same. So here you have to tell it which sheet to use, and everything else you can use the default, so you get this, it works with that one. The difference here for the tab delimited, remember we had a specific function in R, we don't have that here, so we can use file reader. And how we configure that is we go here and we change what the delimiter is. So \T is to tell it that there's a tab. So tell it that it's tab delimited, and then it will read it in. All right. So then what are some of the other changes we need to make? So then what would happen next is you say, well, I need to change the date that's a string into the actual date. So I can go look for a node that says date string to date. So we get this date and time, or string to date and time. So we're going to drag this over here too. Then we need to connect the nodes to say the output of this node goes into this node, so we just click and drag across. Well, if I can get it to work. And then notice it says the warning, it's not configured how we need it to be, so click on configured. It'll put everything in and include, so we're going to remove those, and we just want to configure date. So we've got this set up. Now we have the how it says what date formats are a little different in KNIME than they are in R, so we have to figure out a way to set this up. So we've got year, 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 year. That takes care of 4 here. Then we need /, and month for some reason are uppercase. So, but it doesn't have a 0, 1. So here we need just 1M. And then day also, it doesn't have 0. Otherwise, if it had 0, 1, then we would need day, day. But here we just have 1 day. And then it gives me a warning because I have date and time. Well, I just want the date. And I click OK. Looks like it's ready to run. We execute. And then we can look at the output. And now we have something that actually looks like a date. And we can rename the column. So we need a different node. So same thing. We'd look this up over here, rename that column. And we're going to select one of these. So we selected double click date. It opens up this over here. And we're going to change the date, the name of this lowercase to uppercase. And then we could do the same thing if we wanted to change invoice, double click on invoice. And then we could change the name of that invoice. But we're just going to change this to date. And so now we've fixed all of the problems there. We can do the same thing with these other ones. So case converter. So we read it in an Excel, looked up case converter, and we're going to change the product ID to uppercase. Just click on that and include the product ID as the thing you want to work with. Remove the $, so string replacer, we had to look up over here. And we configure it. And it says in sales price, do a wildcard pattern, or allow a wildcard pattern. We could do a regular expression too, but because it's this pattern, then we can just put in the $. And we want to do all of the instances where it shows up, so we click on that, and that replaces it. String to number, same sort of thing. We include over here the sales price, and we want it to go from a string to a number. There isn't much else to configure. So then, that works. Let's reset these here. Maybe let's reset all of these here. So notice now it's not green, so we need to run each of these. So you can execute the first one or execute the last one. You can execute one at a time or execute them all together. So I just executed the last one and it ran it through the whole system. And so we look here at the end, open it up. It looks like what it should look like imported. So a couple of things to notice. The hard part about any of these is figuring out what is the node to put in there. The configuring is sometimes a little tricky, but most of the time it isn't. So here you can search for different words. So, if you're not sure, just you put in string and then you can look through different things that work with strings. Or if you want to look at dates, you can put in dates and look through things that have dates. So there is some searching you can do there, as I showed in the R video. Another great option is just to search, like I have the cheat sheet here, or you can look up KNIMEImport, let's say Excel, and then sometimes there's a video or that you can watch, or someone on a KNIME blog or on different blogs you can click on and read about it. But the hard part is figuring out what to search. Once you know how to search, then their options are pretty easily available. All right, so then at the end of these we have each output to do a summary. So let's delete these here. So at the end, we may want a summary of this. If you want a summary, there isn't an easy function for that, so let's try one, and this may take a while. You have to Google this and figure this out. But if we use the statistics node, we can put this on the end here. And then the statistics can provide several different statistics. So we'll do a simple one. There are 3 different outputs that come out of this. We can do this execute and open views. So the things that are going to come out of these, we can look at interactive views. So that's what we want to do, execute and open views. And it shows us the sales price. Notice it gives us a histogram. That's just what this statistics node does, and we get the minimum. The mean is 174. The maximum was 389. So we get the same sort of thing that we got before using the summary function in R. Again, the only difficult part is finding out what node to put in. Other than that, it's pretty easy to point and click and run it.